LKAS 19 on employee benefits, right? Employee benefits. Just to start with, name some benefits which employee gets. Employees are like benefits, right? Few examples for employee benefits. What? They receive a salary, right? They receive OT, they receive bonuses, they receive EPA, right? They receive gratuity, right? So they some receives, right, disability payments, right? Some receive holiday leaves, right? Some receive medical leave. So all these are what? All these are coming under employee benefits, right? But all the employee benefits, right? All the employee benefits are discussed, are addressed in LKAS 19, except for one benefit. Employee කෙනෙක් විදියට ආයතනයක සේවකයෙක් විදියට එයාට ආයතනයෙන් ලැබෙන හැම benefit එකක්ම ඔය standard එකේ cover කරනවා. එක benefit එකක් නැතු. salary වේවා, overtime වැඩ කරා නම් ඒකට කියවන payment එක, leaves දෙනවා නම් ඒවා, holiday leave තියෙනවා, medical leave තියෙනවා, annual leave තියෙනවා. over ඊට පස්සේ යාගේ අපි සේවය අත්හිටුවොතින් එතනට අපි වන්දි ගෙවන්න ඕන, compensate කරන්න ඕන. එතකොට ඒවා, right? ඊට පස්සේ the gratuity given away. All these things are addressed. All these things are addressed in LKAS 19. All the employee benefits except for one. What is that? Except for share-based payments. Why? Why is that? Share-based payments arena itru හැම එකක්ම මේ standard එකේ address කරනවා. ඇයි? Share-based payments වලට there is a separate standard. There is a separate standard on share-based payments, that is SLFRS 2. Right. Okay. Note down this with me. Scope of this standard. Scope. What I have just mentioned. Scope. So this standard applies to all employee benefits, to all employee benefits, except for share-based payment, right? Share-based payment. So I will write it in share-based payments. Share-based payments. So this is the scope of this standard. This standard addresses all the employee benefits except for share-based payments. Why they specifically excluding the share-based payment? Why they specifically excluding the share-based payment? Because that is addressed in not under LKAS 19 but under SLFRS 2. There is a separate standard for share-based payment. That is why we specifically exclude this particular benefit received by the employees, right? So that is not coming under the, or share-based payments is not coming under the LKAS 19 scope. Apart from that, all the employee benefits or all the benefits received by an employee is coming under LKAS 19. Right. And there are some principles, right? There are some principles you need to know in terms of LKAS 90. There are some principles. One is that when it comes to employee benefits, employee take a benefit එකක් වුණාට, right? Salary එක employee ට benefit එකක් තමයි. Overtime කරනවට ගෙවන එක employee ට benefit එකක් තමයි. bonus ගෙවන එක employee ට benefit එකක් තමයි. sick leave දෙන එක employee ට benefit එකක් තමයි. gratuity එකක් හම්බ වෙන එක employee ට benefit එකක් තමයි. sabbatical leaves හම්බ වෙන එක employee ට benefit එකක් තමයි. employee ට benefit එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ ආයතනයට මොකක්ද? Yes, all these things are benefits for the employee. But if you consider it from the business perspective, from the company perspective, all these benefits for the employees are what? Expenses for the employer. Benefits employee to මේව benefits උනාට business එක පැත්තෙන් employer එක පැත්තෙන් මේව මොනවද? salary ගෙවන එක වියදමක් යාළුවට. overtime given එක වියදමක්, bonus given එක වියදමක්, right? These are expenses. So how to recognize these expenses then? How can a company recognize these expenses? Right? Expenses අඳුර ගන්න මොන point එකේදීද? ඒක right? ඒක අපි employee ගේ පැත්තෙන් ඉතින් employee ඒක earn කරද්දිද නැත්නම් employee ට ඒක ගෙවද්දිද? salary එක අඳුන ගන්න ඕන, right? When the employee earned it or when the company paid it. Payment කරන දවසට salary එක අඳුන ගන්න ඕන. නැත්නම් ඒකට entitled වෙන කාලෙටද. But when the employee earns it, not at the date of payment. Payment date එකට නෙවෙයි අඳුන ගන්නේ. හැමතිස්සෙම මොකද්ද? earn කරපු දවසට. employee කෙනෙක් මේ මාසේ වැඩ කරා නම් හරි. ඒ මාසේ පඩිය අපි මේ මාසේ ගෙවුවත් නැතත් ඒ expense එක එන්න ඕන මොන මාසෙද? Assume an employee has worked during the month of November, right? An employee has provided his service for the company during the month of November. Then the employee, right, has a right to earn his salary for the month of November, but the company may pay it. They can pay it on 25th of November or 10th of December or else in the next year even. එතකොට අපි අර payment කරපු දවසට නෙවෙයි expense එක recognize කරන්න ඕනේ හැමතිස්සෙම මොකක්ද? employee එක earn කරපු දවසට, right? earn date. That is one principle. So I'll put it here. Recognizes expenses. This is one principle. Recognizes expenses when employee earns it. When employee earns it. Right? And not when it is paid. November මාසේ වැඩ කරා නම් November මාසේ තමයි salary expense එක අඳුන ගන්න ඕන. අපි November මාසේ පටිය December ගෙවුවා කියලා December වලට නෙවෙයි අදාළ salary expense එක අඳුන ගන්න ඕන වැඩ කරපු මාසෙ. Right? employee ගේ පැත්තෙන් employee එයාගේ benefit එක earn කරපු salary කියන benefit එක earn කරපු කාලයට අදාළ. Right? Recognizes expenses when employee earns it, not when it is paid. That is one principle in LKAS 90. Right? Then expenses are recognized on straight line basis. Right? Expenses are recognized on straight line basis. Right? Straight line basis. And then the third principle is when it comes to employee benefits. For certain employee benefits, we need to consider the time value of money. Consider the time value of money. Time value of money. In which circumstances, in which situations we need to consider time value of money? in which situations we need to consider time value of money? මොන වගේ circumstances වලද අපිට ඉතලි කාල වටිනාකම සැලකිල්ලට ගන්න? In which circumstances? Right. If there is a, I will put it like this. Employee earn a particular benefit on this date. මොකක් හරි benefit එකක්. Right. Gratuity කියන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් එයාලගේ compensation එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. වැඩ කරද්දී පක් හරි accident එකක් වුණා. ඒකට කියවන compensation. ඒකට accident එක වෙච්ච දවස තමයි එයා ඒක earn කරන්නේ. Employee කෙනෙක් වැඩ කර ඉඳිද්දී යාට මොකක් හරි machine එකක් පාවිච්චි කරද්දී accident එකක් වෙනවා. එතකොට accident එක වෙච්ච දවසේ තමයි මොකක් කරන්නේ? Employee ඒ compensation කියන benefit එක earn කරන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒක ගෙවන දවස වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. තව අවුරුදු 2කින්, අවුරුදු 3කින්, 4කින්, 5කින් නැත්නම් එයා retire වෙන දවසට වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. So if there is a gap exists for more than 1 year, if there is a gap between the earn date and the payment date, right? If there is a gap for more than 1 year between the earn date and the paid date, then we need to consider the time value of money. එතකොට employee කෙනෙක් එයාගේ benefit එක earn කරපු දවසයි එයාට payment එක කරපු දවසයි අතර අවුරුද්දට වඩා වැඩි gap එකක් තියෙනවා නම් අපි මොකක් කරන්න ඕනද? We need to consider the time value of money. අපි දන්නවනේ අවුරුද්දකට අද 1000යි කියලා කියන්නේ අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ 1000යි කියන එක නෙමෙයි. Right? අන්නෝක. We need to consider the time value of money if there is a gap of more than 1 year between the earn date and the date of payment. Right? So those are the three key principles addressed in LKAS 90. And this particular standard discuss few types of employee benefits, right? These several kinds of employee benefits we can put into 3 baskets, actually four, right? We can classify it into 4 groups, but in the broader sense we can classify them into 3 groups. So I will take it here. Employee benefits, in the broader sense can be classified into 3 main groups, right? One, these things you have already discussed during your group presentations. One is what? Short-term benefits, right? Short-term benefits. Short-term benefits. Short-term benefits. What do you mean by that? Short-term benefit එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Employee එක earn කරපු දවසයි payment එක කරන දවසයි අතර අවුරුද්දකට වඩා අඩු gap එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒව මොනවද? Short-term benefits. Employee එක earn කරපු දවසයි company එක pay කරන දවසයි අතර අවුරුද්දකට වඩා අඩු gap එකක් තියෙනවා නම් those are short-term benefits. Right. If there is, I take it like this, earn date and the payment. So if there is a time gap, of less than 1 year, අවුරුද්දකට වඩා අඩු gap එකක් නම් තියෙනවා. නොවැම්බර් මාසේ සැලරි එක ගෙවනවා දෙසැම්බර්. earn කරන්නේ නොවැම්බර්, ගෙවන්නේ දෙසැම්බර්. අවුරුද්දකට වඩා අඩු කාලයක්. එහෙනම් මොකක්ද ඒක? short term benefit එකක්. Right? Sick leaves, short term benefits. Right? What else? Bonus ගෙවන ඒවා short term benefits. පළවෙනි කාර්තුවේ bonus එක ගෙවනම දෙවෙනි කාර්තුවේ. Short අවුරුද්දකට වඩා අඩුයි gap එක. Right? earn කරන period එකයි payment කරන period එක අතර gap එක අවුරුද්දකට වඩා අඩුයි නම් ඒවා අපි අඳුන ගන්නවා මොකක් යටතේද? Those we can identify under short term benefit. If there is a time gap of less than 1 year exists between the earn date and the date of payment, those are coming under short term benefits. Right? Examples. What? Examples for short term benefits? මොනවද? අපිට හම්බ වෙන salary එක, අපිට හම්බ වෙන bonus එක, අපි OT කරලා ගන්න ගණන්, all these are what? All these are short term benefits. If a particular benefit, if there is a less than 1 year time gap between the earn date and the date of payment of a particular employee benefit, then those can be classified under short term benefits. Right. When it comes to short term benefits, right? When it comes to short term benefits, here as a principle we have discussed, right? We consider the time value of money only when what? Only when there is a more than 1 year gap between the earn date and the date of payment. But short-term benefits are the benefits which have a less than 1 year time gap between earn period and the date of payment. Right? So do we need to do any discount in here? මෙතෙන්දී discounting අපිට අවශ්‍ය නැද්ද? ඒක salary එක නම්, ඒක bonus එකක් නම්, එතෙන්දී අපි discount කරලා ගන්නවද? මේ මාසෙක ඊළඟ තව මාස දෙකකින් ගෙවනවා. එතකොට තව මාස දෙකකින් ගෙවන එකේ මාස දෙකකට කලින් අගේ අපි ගන්නවද? We are not going to do that. අවුරුද්දකට වඩා අර gap එක වැඩි නම් විතරයි අපි discounting වලට යන්නේ. මාස ගණන් වලට අපි discounting කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. Therefore here we are not going to do any discounting. No discount. Because the gap is less than 1 year. That is the reason. Because this gap is less than 1 year. And also, right, we recognize expenses when the September මාසේ නම් සර්විස් එක දුන්නේ September මාසෙට තමයි අදාළ වියදම අඳුන ගන්න ඕන. Recognizes expenses when due. Short term benefits. And the second category is long term benefits. Long term benefits. Long-term benefits. And these long-term benefits we can again classify into two main groups. These long-term benefits again we can classify into two main groups. One we called post-employee benefits, post-employment benefits, right? Post-employment benefit. Post-employment benefits. Post-employments. Right? Post-employment. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ benefit එක අපිට ලැබෙන්නේ අපේ සේවා කාලයෙන් පස්සේ. 55න් පස්සේ, 60න් පස්සේ දැන් නම් කීයද? 65න් පස්සේ. Post-employee benefits. Right? And the other category is other long-term benefits. Other long-term benefits. Other long-term benefits. Right. These post-employment benefits, right? These post-employment benefits. Post-employment benefit කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද වචනේම තියෙනවා. post employment employee සේවකයෙක්ට එයාගේ සේවා කාලයෙන් පස්සේ ලැබෙන benefits. And these benefits we can again divide into two groups. We can classify them again into two main groups. One we called defined contribution plans. Defined contribution plans. Defined contribution plans. Example monomer. Defined contribution plan. Defined contribution plans. Examples. One of the examples. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? ආයතනයේ employer සේවාදායකයා. right? සේවාදායකයා මොකක්ද කරන්නේ? employer මොකක්ද කරන්නේ? employer employeeට එයාගේ employment එකෙන් පස්සේ ගන්න කියලා හැම මාසෙම කීයක් හරි ෆන්ඩ් එකකට දානවා. මොකද්ද මේ ෆන්ඩ් එක? මොනවද මේ funds? මොනවද මේ දාන්නේ? Yes, EPF and ETF, right? Those are the examples for defined contribution plans. EPF, ETF, EPF and ETF, defined contribution plans, right? And the other category of post-employment benefit is what? Is defined benefit plans. Defined benefit plans. Defined benefits plans. Example මොකක්ද? ඔය pension යන හැටිම හම්බ වෙනවා මොකක්ද? වැඩ කරපු සේවා කාලයත් එක්ක බලලා අන්තිම මාසේ පඩිය දෙකකින් බෙදලා වැඩ කරපු සේවා කාලයෙන් වැඩි කරලා ගන්න මොකක්ද? වැඩ කරපු අන්තිම මාසේ පඩිය දෙකකින් බෙදලා වැඩ කරපු සේවා කාලයෙන් වැඩි කරලා ගන්න. මොකක්ද අපි එකට කියන්නේ? That is gratuity. Gratuity. පාරිතෝෂික. Gratuity. Yes, gratuity. Right? So gratuity is an example for defined benefit plans. Defined benefit plans. So in defined contribution plans, do we use discounting? EPF, ETF වල අපි discounting කරනවද? Yes or no? EPF, ETF මොකද කරන්නේ? හැම මාසෙම අපි දානවනේ. හැම මාසෙම ෆන්ඩ් එකට දානවා. right? ඒ ෆන්ඩ් එකට දැම්මට පස්සේ ඒ ෆන්ඩ් එකෙන් තමයි කාට ගෙවන්නේ? අදාළ එම්ප්ලොයිට එයාගේ සේවා කාලය අවසන් වුණාට පස්සේ ගෙවන්නේ. එතකොට එතන post employment කියන්නේ යාගේ employment එක ඉවරනාට පස්සේ ගෙවන එක සම්බන්ධයෙන් වගකීම තියෙන්නේ අදාළ අරමුදලට. Not with the company. Right? Defined contribution plan. So here monthly on a regular basis the employer or the company needs to, right, provide or credit a particular amount to a fund, to outside fund, to a third party fund. EPF වල ETF වල discounting යනවද? Time value of money consider වෙනවද? No, right? So that is one difference. In defined contribution plans there is no discounting. Discounting is not considered, no discounting. But when it comes to defined benefit plans, right, defined benefit plans, there we need to consider the discounting. Defined contribution plans වල discounting වලට යන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි defined benefits plans වල අපි discounting කරන්න වෙනවා. When it comes to defined contribution plans, we follow simple accounting. Simple accounting. මේ මාසේ EPF එක ඒ මාසෙට expense කරා. Right? මේ මාසේ ETF එක ඒ මාසෙට expense කරා. Simple accounting. But when it comes to defined benefit plans, right, compared to defined contribution plans, we need to follow complex accounting. Complex accounting. It is also another difference. Unknown differences දෙකක් කිව්ව. එකක් මොකක්ද? Defined contribution plans වල discounting පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි defined benefit plans වල discounting පාවිච්චි කරනවා. What was the other one? In defined contribution plans, we use simple accounting. It is straightforward. But when it comes to defined benefit plans, we have to use complex accounting, right? So the steps are there that we need to follow, right? And also, when it comes to defined contribution plans, we recognize expenses when they are due, right? For the month of April, if we need to pay EPF, so we need to identify it as an EPF expense in the month of April. When it is due, we need to recognize expenses in defined contribution plans, but in defined benefit plans, we should have an actuarial assumption, right? The value actuarial assumption should be there. Gratuity well accounting theoretically, right? And the other category is termination benefits. Termination benefits. Termination benefits. Termination benefits. Termination benefits, right? What is the difference post-employment and termination? Post-employment termination benefits. What is the difference between post-employment and termination? Post-employment agreement sorry, අවුරුදු 55ක් වෙනකන් වැඩ කරනවා කියලා නම් අදාළ අවුරුදු 55 ඉවරුණාට පස්සේ ලැබෙන benefits, post employment benefits after our initially agreed time or year of service. Initially agreement එකක් ගහනනේ කම්පැනි එකත් එක්ක අපි මෙන්න මේ අවුරුද්දේදී තමයි රිටයර් වෙන්නේ. එතකොට එන්න ඒ වයසෙන් පස්සේ තමයි post employment කියලා කියන්නේ. 55 නම් 55න් පස්සේ, 65 නම් 65න් පස්සේ post employment. What do we mean by termination? Agreement එක ගහන්න පුළුවන් අවුරුදු 60ක් වෙනකන් වැඩ කරනවා කියලා. හැබැයි මොකක්ද? එක්ක කම්පැනි right එකක් හරි branch එකේ operations හොඳ නැති නිසා එක branch එකක් එයාලා ඒක discontinue කරනවා. ඒ operation ඒ branch එක මොකක් හරි branch එකක් discontinue කරනවා. එතකොට මොකක් කරන්න වෙනවද? අපිට ඒ සේවකයෝ ටික වැඩක් නැහැ කම්පැනි එකට. සේවකයෝ අයින් කරන්න වෙනවා. Agreement එකේ 60 තමයි. හැබැයි අවුරුදු 40 ඉන්න සේවකයාත් අපිට අයින් කරන්න වෙනවා. Terminate. එතකොට යාට මොකක් ගෙවන්න වෙනවද? We need to pay compensation, right? That compensation is what? A termination benefit for the employee. එතකොට company decision එකක් නිසා employees ට termination benefits යනවා. Right? They may have to terminate the employee agreements due to business decisions. And also the companies can make offer. Yes, we know that your retirement age is 60, but if you retire within this year, we will pay you this much of compensation, right? The company, the employer can propose. Hari, අපි දන්නවා ඔයාගේ අපි agreement එක අනුව ඔයාගේ retirement age එක අවුරුදු 60. ඔයා අවුරුදු 60 දී තමයි රිටයර් වෙන්න ඕන. හැබැයි ඔයා ඊළඟ අවුරුද්දේ නැත්තම් මේ අවුරුද්දේ රිටයර් වෙනවා නම් අපි මෙන්න මෙච්චර benefit එකක් ඔයාට දෙනවා. Right? The company or the employer can make such offer. That is also becoming a termination benefit. Right? Company එකට option එකක් නැතුව අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම සේවකයා අයින් කරන්න වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට වන්දි ගෙවන්න වෙනවා. එහෙමත් නැත්තම් company යාලගේ human resource manage කරගන්න early retirements වලට, right? Agreement එකේ ගහපු අවුරුද්දට කලින් employees ලා retire කරන්න වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඒක termination benefit, right? Termination benefits, right? This one. Right, you know some of the differences between these two, defined contribution plans and defined benefits plans. And here we are not using discounting, but here we need to use discounting. Here we use simple accounting. Here we have to use complex accounting. Here we recognize when the expenses are due, but here that we need to use actuarial assumption when identifying the expenses. Right. Assume, right, we are A limited. A limited. This is our company. This is our company. A limited. This is our company. Right. This company contributes to a retirement benefit fund. Retirement benefit fund. ඒ කියන්නේ එයාලගේ employeesලා retire වුණාට පස්සේ, right, එයාලට අදාළ amounts ගෙවන්න, right, මෙයාලා වෙනුවෙන් employeesලා වෙනුවෙන් fund එකකට contribute කරනවා. And on behalf of the employees, this company contributes to a retirement benefit fund. Actually, retirement benefit. And retire වුණාට පස්සේ මේකෙන් එයාලට අදාළ amounts ගන්න පුළුවන්. එයාල company එක එයාල වෙනුවෙන් දායක වෙච්ච මුදල් මෙයාලට එයා retire වෙද්දී employees retire වෙද්දී ගන්න පුළුවන්. Right. And assume, right, that there are, let's say, 1,000 employees. There are 1,000 employees working in this company. There are 1,000 employees. Right. So for these 1,000 employees, on their retirement, right, they can ask for this money. They can ask for this money. Right, from this fund, from the retirement benefit fund, they need to pay benefit. They pay benefit. And company save to the Hakinogalitan may have a save cake with him, right? Maybe monthly or maybe once in 3 months. More often than not, it is a monthly payment, right? Monthly. They contribute a particular amount to a retirement benefit fund, and on the retirement of these employees, they can, right, ask for these amounts. And so this fund is liable to pay benefit. And what if, right? What if this particular fund is unable to pay these benefits? අපේ පඩියෙන් හැම මාසෙම රුපියල් 5000 ගානේ කපාගත්තා ෆන්ඩ් එකකට දානවා කියලා. හැබැයි අපි රිටයර් වෙද්දි ෆන්ඩ් එකේ කියනවා EPF අරමුදලෙන් කියනවා ETF අරමුදලෙන් කියනවා නැත්නම් වෙනත්ක් හරි ෆන්ඩ් එකකින් කියනවා අපිට දැන් ඔයාලට ගෙවන්න සල්ලි නැහැ කියලා. වෙන්න පුළුවන්. That can happen. හැම මාසෙම අපි අවුරුදු 15ක් 20ක් වැඩ කරලා හැම මාසෙම අපේ පඩියෙන් කපා ගත්තා. හැබැයි අපි රිටයර් වෙච්ච දවසේදී අපි රිටයර්මන්ට් එකේදී මෙයාලා කියනවා මේ ෆන්ඩ් එකේ දැන් සල්ලි නැහැ. The fund is, if the fund is unable to pay, then we need to look, right? Then we need to look who has the responsibility, right? Who has the responsibility? Who is liable? If this particular company, A Limited has no obligation, then such we can identify as defined contribution plans. අපි රිටයර් වුණාට පස්සේ ෆන්ඩ් එකේ සල්ලි නැහැ. ෆන්ඩ් එකේ සල්ලි නැති එකට කම්පැනිය ලයබල් නැහැ. කම්පැනිය ලයබල් වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ඒ වගේව තමයි අපි කියන්නේ defined contribution plans. එහෙනම් මතක තියාගන්න. EPF ETF ගෙවන්න ඒ අරමුදල් වල සල්ලි තිබ්බේ නැති වුණොත් ඒ හිඟ මුදල නැත්නම් ඒ arrears එක right ඒ due amount එක කම්පැනිය ගෙවන්න බැඳිලා තියෙනවද නැද්ද? කම්පැනිය ගෙවන්න බැඳිලා නැහැ. That is why we identify these EPF ETF under defined contribution plans. The company is not liable. Company has no obligation. If the fund is unable to pay, then there is no obligation for the company. වැඩ කරපු කම්පැනියට කිසිම liability එකක් කිසිම obligation එකක් නැහැ. ඔයාගෙන් ඒ කපාගත්ත මුදල් ටික ඔයාට ගෙවන්න. මොකද එයාලා benefit plan එකට දාලා ඉවරයි. Right? And then what if is like this? What if it is like this? A Limited has to pay the shortfall. A Limited has to pay the shortfall. Samahara companies, there are certain companies who are not right contributing to these funds, EPF fund or ETF fund. They have their own funds. Right? එයාලා EPF ETF එකට contribute කරන්නේ නැහැ. employee කපාගෙන EPF fund එකට ETF fund එකට දෙන්නේ නැහැ. එයාලගෙම funds තියෙනවා, universities වල තියෙනවා. Right? employee ලගෙන් deduct කරගෙන එයාලගේ personal fund එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? Personal fund maintained by the company. So they contributed to that. Then on the retirement, right? Then on the retirement, if that fund has no money to pay the employee, still the company is liable. Right? Employee can අඩු කරගත්තා. එයාලගේ personal fund එකට දාගත්තා. Employee retire වෙද්දි දැන් ගෙවන්න fund එකේ සල්ලි නැහැ කිව්වොත් ඒ වගේ වෙලාවක කාට obligation එකක් තියෙනවද? The company has the obligation, right? The company needs to pay it. The company is liable. If the company is liable, then what? Then those we can or we have to identify it as defined benefit plans. Right? එතකොට fund එකකට දානවා කියලා හැම fund එකටම දාන amounts මොකක් නෙමෙයිද? Yes, we know gratuity is right. Gratuity is a defined benefit plan. හැබැයි අපේ ඔළුවේ තියෙන දැනට මොකද්ද? අපේ ඔළුවේ තියෙන අපේ පඩියෙන් කපාගෙන අරමුදලකට දානවා නම් ඒ ඔක්කොම මොකක් කියලාද? All these are defined contribution plans. There is not such a thing. Right? Then we need to look if the fund is unable to pay, who is liable? Is that the company or is that whether the company has the obligation or whether the company do not have any obligation. We need to decide on that. Based on that, only we can classify whether it is a defined contribution plan or a defined benefit plan. Right? එතකොට පඩියෙන් කපාගෙන fund එකට දානවා කියලා ඒ හැම එකක්ම defined contribution plans නෙවෙයි. අපි බලන්න ඕනේ intention එක. නැත්නම් ඔය fund එක අපි retire වෙද්දී ඔය fund එකෙන් අපිට ගෙවන්න බැරි වුණොත් fund එකේ සල්ලි තිබ්බේ නැති වුණොත් ඒ හිඟ මුදල ඒ arrears එක right ඒ due amount එක ගෙවන්න කම්පැනියට obligation එකක් තියෙනවද? තියෙනව නම් ඒක defined benefit plan එකක්. එහෙම obligation එකක් නැත්නම් ඒක defined contribution plan එකක්. Right? So that is the summary of this particular standard. Right? I have highlighted only the key points, right? Okay. So these definitions and all, right, you can read and understand. Right, LKAS 19 employee benefits deals with the benefits awarded to employees as part of their remuneration package. Right. So categories we have discussed: short-term, long-term. Long-term again divided into two as post-employment and other long-term benefits, and then the termination benefits. See, short-term benefits, if there is a less than 1 year time gap between the earn period and the date of payment, those are what? Short-term benefits. Examples: salaries, sick leaves, maternity leaves, annual leaves. All these are short-term benefits. Post-employment benefits, pensions, right? Pensions. This post-employment benefit kiwoting okam defined contribution plans when not puluwang, defined benefit plans when not puluwang. EPF, ETF, pensions, post-employment medical care, all these are coming under post-employment benefits. Right? Other long-term benefits, but sabbatical leave, right? Disability benefits. Other long-term benefits, right? And the termination benefits. Termination benefit, terminate karna. Yeah, original right, year of service initially if he agreed to take his service until he is 60 years old, if we need to make an early retirement, then the benefit or the compensation that we need to make for that employee is what we call termination benefit, early retirement payments and redundancy payments, right? These are examples. These definitions, right? These definitions have been frequently tested in your exams, and I have highlighted in red font the most important terms with respect to each of these key points, right? If it is about employee benefits, that means simply what? All forms of consideration, right? All forms of considerations given by an entity in exchange for services performed by employees. All forms of consideration, right? Cash filling given away na puluwang, leaves na puluwang, right? Sabbatical leaves, maternity leaves, holiday leaves, sick leaves. There are various kinds of leaves are there. Right? Company gifts denama. Non-monetary terms වලින් contribute කරන්න පුළුවන් employees ට benefits දෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? අවුරුදු 25කට කරාම රන් කාසියක් දෙනවා. එතකොට ඒකත් මොකක්ද? employee benefit එක. එතකොට cash ව නෙවෙයි ඕනම form එක. Any form of consideration. All forms of consideration given by an entity in exchange for services performed by employees. Employee benefit. Short-term employee benefits. You know what that means, right? But it's settled wholly before 12 months. මේ මාසේ පඩිය ඊළඟ මාසේ ගෙවනවා. නැත්නම් තව මාස දෙකකින් ගෙවනවා. කොහොම හරි අවුරුද්දකට වඩා අඩු කාලෙකින් ගෙවනවා නම් those are what? Short-term employee benefits, right? If the due amounts are settled before 12 months, then those can be classified as short-term employee benefits. Post-employment benefits, what I have highlighted here. Post-employment benefits, what? After the benefits received by an employee after the completion of employment. Benefits received by an employee after the completion of employment. Retire වුණාට පස්සේ ලැබෙන benefits. After the retirement, after the completion of employment. Right? Other long-term employee benefits. Right? Other long-term employee benefits. What? All employee benefits other than short-term employee benefits, post-employment benefits, and termination benefits. Sabbatical leaves short-term short-term post-employment categorize termination benefits this is like a residual, right? Place. We need to consider as other long-term benefits. Other basket tunatama දාන්න බැරි නම් අපි ඒව දාන්නේ අපි ඒව අඳුනගන්නේ under other long-term employee benefits. Right? Termination benefits. Employee benefits provided in exchange for the termination. Right? Employee benefits provided in exchange for the termination of an employee's employment as a result of either of the two situations given. What? A company decision to terminate an employee's employment before the normal retirement date. Right? Company's decision. Company, we have no other option. You need to retire. Right? Now we are going to terminate your employment. අපිට මේ branch එක කරගෙන යන එක පාඩුයි ඔයාලට options නැහැ ඔයාලගේ employment එක අපි terminate කරනවා අපි agreement එක terminate කරනවා for that we will pay you benefits we will pay you a compensation those are coming under termination benefits or an employee's decision to accept an offer of benefits in exchange of termination අර human resource manage කරගන්න company or the employer can make suggestions. Right? We know you need to retire at this age. But if you retire in this year, we will pay you this much of benefit. We will pay you this much of compensation. If you agree, right? If you okay with this, you can accept this offer. Offer එකක් කරනවා. අපි බල කරන්නේ කලින් අපි බල කරනවා. අපිට options නැහැ. ඔයාලා අනිවාර්යෙන් terminate වෙන්න. We cannot continue this way for long, right? You must terminate. We are going to terminate you. But in the second option, they are not forcefully going to terminate, but that time what they are going to do? They make an offer. අපි බල කරන්නේ කැමති නම් retire වෙන්න, කැමති නම් early retirement එකට යන්න. මේ අවුරුද්දේ retire වුණොත් we are going to pay you this much. Or we are going to, right, offer you these benefits. The employer can make such offers. Then those are coming under termination benefits, right? Termination benefits. Right. Example number one. Example number one. What it says. Abacon Traders Private Limited gives its employees an annual entitlement to paid holiday leave. Right? Holiday leave. So this is also an employee benefit, holiday leave. If there is any unused leave at the end of the year, employees are entitled to carry forward the unused leaves for up to 12 months. Now tell me, this is a benefit. This is an employee benefits. For what category? For what basket we can put this benefit into? අපි අර කතා කරපු basket වලින් මොන basket එකකට දාන්න පුළුවන්? අපි categories ටිකක් කතා කරන්නේ. මේ holiday leave කියන benefit එක. මේක employee benefit එකක් නේ. ඔය employee benefit එක මොන basket එකකටද දාන්න පුළුවන්? මොනවද baskets ටික? There are short-term employee benefits. There are long-term employee benefits, which again we can categorize as post-employment benefits and other long-term benefits. And there are termination benefits. ඔය basket වලින් මොකටද දාන්න පුළුවන්? What? Short-term benefits. Short-term benefits, right? They need to use these leaves, right? They are entitled to carry forward the unused leaves up to 12 months. Within 12 months, they need to use. At 31st December 2018, the company's employees carried forward in total 35 days of unused holiday leave. Employees are paid 400 rupees per day. Employees are paid 400 rupees per day. Abacon Traders expects all employees to use their carried forward holiday entitlement before the end of 2019. what we need to do? We need to record the amounts recognized in the financial statements of Abecon traders. What it should be. Right? In total, how many unused holiday leaves are there? I will take the answer here. How many unused holiday leaves are there? There are 35. There are 35. Employees are paid 400 rupees per day. දවසක වටිනාකම කීයද? 400. It means in total, what is the value here? 14,000, right? 14,000. 14,000. So how can we pass the journal entry for this one? How can we pass the double entry for this one? Right? Holiday leave කියන එක employee ට benefit එකක් වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ employee ට මොකක්ද? company යට මොකක්ද? salary ගෙවන එක employee ට benefit එකක් වුණාට employee ට මොකක්ද? expense එකක්. expense එකක් නම් කොහාටද යන්නේ? P&L එකට. P&L එක debit වෙනවද credit වෙනවද? debit වෙනවා. කීයක්ද? 400ක්. Right? And accrued expenses credit 400. So this is the simple entry that we need to pass. Right? It is straightforward. These short-term benefits, those are straightforward. P&L debit 400, accrued expenses credit 400. Sorry, 14,000. 14,000. 14,000. And post-employment benefits, we have discussed defined contribution plans and defined benefit plans. Right? How they have here, LKAS 19 has defined contribution plans. Defined contribution plans are post-employment benefits. Post-employment are post-employment benefit plans under which an entity pays fixed contribution into a separate entity, separate fund. EPF එක මතක් කරගන්න. Fixed amount to a separate entity or a separate fund. Right? And will have no legal or constructive obligation. Right? A Limited has no obligation. Right? And will have no legal or constructive obligation to pay further contributions if the fund does not hold sufficient assets to pay. Exactly what I have told here. If the fund is unable to pay and the company has, if the company has no obligation for such, then those we can classify it under defined contribution plans. Defined benefit plans are what? Post-employment benefit plans other than defined contribution plans. Defined contribution plans are in post-employment benefits we need to consider as defined benefit plans. Right. Right. Example number 2. Example number 2. Pacific Plants Limited contributes 5% of employees' salaries into a post-employment plan each period. Right? Into a post-employment plan. Post-employment plan. Salaries amounted to 8 million rupees in the year ended 31st March 2019, and the company had paid 350,000 into the plan by the reporting date. Salary වලින් කීයක් කපා ගන්න ඕනද? 100ට 5ක් කපා ගන්න ඕන. Right? No, salary වලින් කපා ගන්නව නෙමෙයි. salary එකෙන් 100ට 5ක් යාලා මොකක් කරන්න ඕනද? Contribute කරන්න ඕන. Right? Their contribution is 5% of the salary. 5% of the salary is what? Salary එක මෙන්න ඒකෙන් 5% කියන්නේ කීයක්ද? 8 million into 5%. What? 8 million. 8 million into 5% is what? 400,000. 400,000. මේක තමයි මොකක්ද? මේක ආයතනයට මොකක්ද? This is the expense. ඕක ආයතනයට වියදමක්. EPF වල employer ගේ contribution එක, company ගේ contribution එක companyයට මොකක්ද? වියදමක්. This is the same. This is the employer's contribution. Employer's contribution. 5% of the salary is the employer's contribution. That is an expense for the company. So we need to identify this as an expense. So what we need to do? P&L debit 400,000. P&L debit 400,000. Yes, we need to prepare the journal entry. Right? And how much we have paid? කීයක් ගෙවලා තියෙනවද? කීයක් ගෙවලා තියෙනවද? 350,000 had paid. Right? The company had paid 350,000 into the plan. සල්ලි ගෙවලා නම් මොකක්ද? Cash. Cash credit 350,000. What is this remaining 50,000? We need to credit to where? Credit to where? This is an accrued expense. Accrued expense. This is the journal entry we need to pass. These are straightforward. P&L debit 400,000. Cash given at the end of 350,000. So we need to credit that. And the remaining 50,000 we have to pay. We have to pay for the plan. So it is an accrued expense. Accrued expense credit 50,000. Right. So these are the disclosures that you need to make in terms of employee benefits. Right. So you can read and understand this. And to understand the disclosures, especially, right, refer the annual reports. Take a standard එකේ disclosure requirements මොනවද කියලා අඳුන ගන්න ඔයාලා annual reports කියවන්න. Right? Annual reports කියවද්දි, right, industry wise, if you pick, right, few annual reports from different industries, industry wise you can identify the differences in these disclosures. Right, you can identify the common disclosures. Okay, if we take LKAS 41, these plantation companies have more set of disclosures like this, and these companies also have these kind of disclosures in terms of LKAS 41. In terms of LKAS 19, right, these are the common disclosures we can observe. Right? Refer these annual reports and get the idea of these disclosures. මේක වචනෙන් තිබ්බට මත අර කොහොමද මේක වචනෙන්නේ තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේව ඩිස්ක්ලෝස් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒවා ඇත්තටම කොහොමද කරන්නේ කියලා හොඳ අයිඩියා එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් annual reports refer කරද්දී. Right? So refer annual reports to get an idea of these disclosures.